Hi, welcome to the seasonal goal setting workshop with Laura Bulow. That's me. So this is my second seasonal goal setting workshop of 2020. I'll be recording 4 videos for this year, and with spring coming to a close and the first day of summer being on June 20th, 2020, the time is now. The time is now to reflect on your spring and second quarter goals and projects, and to think ahead towards summer and the third quarter of the year, which just sounds crazy to say, and to start thinking about, given everything that's happening in the world, how can we shape the next quarter, 90 to 100 days of our lives. Okay, so what's our reason for being here, and why am I hosting a seasonal goal setting workshop? New Year's resolutions notoriously fail. I think about 8% of people stick to their New Year's goals, and I think it gives goal setting a bad rap. And I love working on projects and goals with my clients. So this is an attempt to do meaningful goal setting in smaller chunks so that we can really build momentum and celebrate our small accomplishments, build a habit of success, and figure out what really allows us to create success in our lives and create more meaningful goals in our lives. There's a lot of weird misnomers about goals, and a lot of times we don't really pause to think about why we're pursuing a particular goal. So that's what this is. The seasonal goal setting workshop is really about creating space for accountability. My clients are always asking me how they can create more accountability in their lives, to create some community, and create a space to get feedback and really get creative. So the seasonal aspect of it is because there are days and times of the year that are optimal for restarting, sort of resetting the clock and being like, okay, X, Y, and Z didn't work. Let's rethink this. Let's evaluate it and start over, or continue in this new way. So that is significant. And from where I'm coming from, I really like to use the seasons as that clock, right? Let's pay attention to what's happening in our world. It's close to the quarters. So, as far as thinking about the business world and the work world, it's in conjunction, but it creates a really significant date for us to move forward. Okay, so who am I and why am I doing this? I'm Laura Bulow. I have a coaching practice. I work with individuals in small groups, typically mid-career creatives. I love working with people in career transition. I've been a jack of all trades throughout my life. I've lived all over the country and the world. I've done everything from retail and food and beverage, working in restaurants, to managing a small gym in the Presidio of San Francisco, and eventually pursuing my own art practice in San Francisco as well. And now I'm working as a coach to help others start and pursue their creative endeavors and pursue the meaningful work in their lives, whether that means in tandem with their paid work and or creating an entire career shift. All right, we're going to cover a lot of information today, so hold on to your butts. We've got approximately 45 minutes to an hour of goal setting information. I'm just going to run with it. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a whole bunch of information, and I do offer individual deep dive sessions and would be happy to lead a small group session for you if you want to put together a small group of individuals looking to dive deep into some of these subjects. Okay, so there's a lot of information to cover. I will give the introduction to all of these aspects, and then we will see what comes out of it and where you need help. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We will cover a few goal setting exercises, just the basics of goal setting and the seasonal influence that we want to incorporate. Then we will cover the why behind any goal. This part is very important, and I feel like is often left behind by other goal setting frameworks, which is why that goal? Is it a strong goal? Does it have legs? Like, what's the point? Is it coming from a place of like positivity, or is it coming from a place of guilt? What's the motivation and the inspiration? How can we really leverage that as much as possible to lead to your success in creating real meaningful change? Okay, so I'm getting caught up in the why already here. Okay, so we'll talk about Simon Sinek, the why, a 5 why exercise, and what does all of that mean? Then we're going to cover a little bit of happiness research. Again, skimming the surface here, but let's incorporate some happiness research. Another thing that is totally left behind in goal setting and why so many people are not successful in pursuing their goals and projects. Why, we are pleasure-seeking animals. We want pleasure and things that feel good. So let's talk about what makes you happy and what doesn't, okay? This is science-based information. Then we're going to talk about choosing your goal and planning for that goal using a few different tools and resources. Another thing left behind by most goal-setting frameworks. Let's talk about the obstacles. What does that mean and how can we incorporate it into our plan? Then, what's our plan moving forward? And let's discuss a little bit, again, super basic, surface level items here. I really just want to make a note about COVID, the race riots that are happening in the country, and just sort of this new global reality that's unfolding for all of us and how we can incorporate that into our goals if it feels meaningful. Then I'll wrap up with accountability and the work that I do. And we'll say congratulations and, goodbye, great success. Let's check back in and see what happens as time goes on. Okay, so let's dive right in. Where are we going to start? Goal setting, right? Let's review some really basic exercises that are going to help you set up a good goal. All right, the first one I like to share with people is the AIM SMART framework. So AIM stands for acceptable, ideal, and the middle path, okay? So you choose a goal, you're thinking about things, and you say, what is the bare minimum that I could accomplish for this goal? Let's just choose running a marathon because it's an easy example. What's the bare minimum that I could accept as achieving my marathon goal? My bare minimum is showing up on race day, whether I finish or not, right? My ideal, if I knocked this out of the park, result of running this marathon is running the marathon in under 6 hours, let's say. And then the middle path, somewhere in there, is training regularly, showing up for race day, running my best race without getting injured, okay? So there's an example, AIM SMART, acceptable, ideal, middle path, all right? How can you look at all three of those and adjust accordingly? SMART goals, many of you have heard of this. It's a pretty good framework to just cover your main basis, okay? SMART, specific. You have to get really specific. It has to be measurable. Is this an attainable goal given your current reality? Is it relevant to what you're doing, right? If I'm saying I want to run a marathon, I've never run a day in my life. It's not that it can't be relevant, but just thinking about my lifestyle, what's happening, and all these other things, is it a great goal to pursue at that time? And time bound. We always want to set deadlines and check-in points to make sure that we're on the right path, so that we can adjust and create a new path forward if we need to. So that is the AIM SMART framework. If you follow those, you'll already be setting yourself up for much more success than many people who are just this is my goal and I have no plan. This next one I really like because I'd never heard of it before, and it brings some new elements that I've mentioned in the agenda that are often left to the wayside or aren't considered at all. So WHOOP, the WHOOP framework for goal setting is your wish, right? What is your wish? You're choosing a goal, and often there's an underlying result or wish there. I want to be happier. I want to be fitter. I want to lose weight. I want to, run this marathon so I can feel really strong and help me get in shape, and hopefully I'll lose some weight as well. So your wish for that goal, and then think about the outcome that you want. If I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to have to work on my fitness, right? My next O, my favorite O, the obstacle, and we will cover this in greater detail later in the workshop, all right? So consider all of the obstacles that may get in the way of pursuing your goal and reaching the outcome. Then the P, what's your plan? and that you can back up with the AIM SMART process. All right, so those are two basic goal setting frameworks just to get us started. There are others out there. Feel free to Google away. These are just really simple that I always come back to. Okay, seasonal influence. Let's talk about summer real quick. This is really where this is an exercise in brainstorming for you to take some time to really think about how did the spring go? What does spring mean to you? How much do the seasons affect you? Not at all, or maybe a lot. You know, do you have extreme seasonal allergies? You know your energy level is going to be diminished because of that. Does it not really impact you at all from a health or mood standpoint? I have seasonal affect disorder. I can really, really tell when the days are getting shorter and chillier. You know, if it's overcast all the time, that really has a huge influence on me, and I need to incorporate that into my plans. So then after you've reflected on the spring, summer is on its way, right? We're approaching the solstice. Let's think about the longest day of the year, right? The days are getting longer and longer. It's late into the evening, depending on where you live. It's getting warmer, right? So some seasonal influences around summer can be like heat, skin. We can wear less clothing. Water, I always think about water in the summertime, right? It's hot. We want to go spend time by the river or a lake. Many people are planning summer vacations, right? The way we've planned our years and give time for interrupted by the family, of course, COVID, sheltering in place, still, I am. Anyways, so, and we'll get into that later. Summertime, heat, right? Things glistening in the sunshine, it being blisteringly hot. Many people plan vacations, family vacations, you know, school is out for the summer. There are festivals and lots of outdoors events. So, you know, it's typically this time of like immense growth and explosion, us coming outside, you know, leading towards the fall harvest. So we're talking about an abundance of life, greenery. You know, in California, that often means things turning green, or not green, brown and gold, right? The golden state. Things get really dried out versus in some other places, they become extremely green. We often don't have the water to sustain that here. But I am heading back to Denver. We're talking about high altitude desert there, right? It's often very green as well, but there's definitely also the summer storms providing a little bit more moisture there. So let's think about, here's some questions to consider when meditating on the seasons, all right? First of all, use your senses. What does summer taste like? What does summer look like? What does it smell like? What are the sounds of summer? What does it feel like, right? Just really invoking a full body experience when it comes to the summer. What kind of spiritual and religious holidays are on the calendar? What do you believe in, and what is important to you? What sort of important transitions are on your calendar during this season? What events are coming up in the coming months? Like, what sort of events are you attending? What really signifies summer to you, right? We've got July 4th, and if you go to festivals or concerts and that sort of thing, what's happening? Again, all of these things are being influenced by COVID, amongst other political and health issues currently in the country. But that's all part of, it's a full package, right? What is something you would like to put behind you? Okay. What is something you're looking forward to? What does the heat and growth of the summer feel like to you? What kind of projects do you have in the works for your job and your business? Is there a color that represents this season for you? What is it? I very intentionally wore this new dress that I bought. This is my summer dress. I'm obsessed with the colors and the patterns. It's lightweight. It will protect me from the sun, but I can also open it up and wear a bikini underneath. Anyways, I bought it with the idea of like, great, I can wear this every day of the summer and it's going to be awesome. And I can really dress it down more casual or dress it up and be a little bit more fancy if I choose. So is there a color or an outfit that represents summer to you? What kind of movement represents the summer, right? Is there dancing? Is there exercise outside? We're out of ski season, but maybe you're really into hiking or water sports. What kind of activities and actions are part of the summer? What really embodies this time of year for you? Okay. Woo. Next, we're going to move into the why. All right. So for the why, this section is all about understanding your root motivation for pursuing your particular goal or project. This is all about being in alignment and in integrity when you choose your goals and your projects. So what do I mean by that? Because it can feel kind of wooey and unclear, I suppose, using those words. And those words might already be loaded with meaning for you. So what am I talking about when I say that? So I even pulled out the definition of integrity here so that we could get a little bit of clarity around that word. It is the quality of being honest. It's the quality of being whole and undivided, okay? And the definition of authentic is being genuine. So if we're really thinking about being whole and undivided, there's this sense that we are being honest with ourselves in our thoughts, actions, and intention. So choosing goals that represent your beliefs. Now, how can you tap into this? Because this can be really challenging at times to tap into your why, and a why that feels true to you and feels inspiring to help you through any of the potential obstacles you might come across. So I would encourage you to watch Simon Sinek's Why TED Talk. His whole message, to distill it down into a sentence, is that people do not buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he is just super inspiring and amazing. Giving this talk, it's very exciting to watch him speak about this idea. It always gets me really pumped up. And the example that he gives is Apple, and that they have built such a strong brand on such a strong belief system that they could sell you pretty much anything, because we buy why they do things. So, which is good design, right? Everything they build is centered around a user-friendly experience. So think about this and watch Simon Sinek's Why video. Another tool you can use in getting to the bottom of your why is the 5 whys, which is just a really basic exercise of asking yourself why 5 times in a row. And this is best done as a writing exercise or speaking aloud with, say, a coach. This really helps you get past the surface, because the first 2 may be really easy, the last 3 could be really difficult, or maybe the first 4 are really easy, and then the last one is really difficult. So just allow yourself to be in process and to sort of struggle through the awkwardness of it. So, and then I would just like to wrap up here with the why, talking about, to mention Oprah and her idea around intention, right? So get to the essence of everything. whatever your goal is, right? You set your intention, right? This is what Oprah says: I can, I will, watch me, right? So your intention is to be successful. Your intention is to be true and live in integrity and to do the things that you say you're going to do. Okay. Whew. Again, like I said, there's a lot of information. We're just going to run through all of it, and there's always space for more work to be done and for you to incorporate as much or as little as you like into your seasonal goals. So this next part is about the happiness research. I always mention to people that we're going to review the actual happiness research data that's out there for you to incorporate into your goals. I'm going to cover, just skim the surface, okay? This information is largely taken from the Happiness Lab by Dr. Laurie Santos from Yale. I highly encourage you to listen to the Happiness Lab. It's fascinating, it's fun, and it has very practical information to put into practice in your life right now, okay? So, and for me personally, I've been listening and making cheat sheets because I really want those bite-sized pieces of information. I get so caught up in the stories that often I can kind of forget what the takeaway message is. And for me, the takeaways are just, they're so important. They're often very simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy to incorporate into your life. So let's, hold on to those. And those are the ones I'm going to focus on so that we can really build and incorporate that into our goal and incorporate it into our why. Have we thought about these things in our why? Okay. Number one, our brains are super bad at predicting what's actually going to make us happy. The Happiness Lab is also a free course online through Yale. So if you want to do a deeper dive, do the course. So I'm just going to list here a few things that they do not really make us happy, but there's a lot of external pressure and beliefs and marketing and all kinds of things that make us think that they will make us happy, and we pursue them relentlessly, even when we know that they don't make us happy. Okay. So what's one of the most obvious ones? Money, right? Okay. Money. We think money is going to make us happier, and it often does not. So up to, depending on where you live, if you make around $75,000 a year, an increase in salary or in income is not going to influence your happiness. Obviously, we all have needs, and they're, what is a living wage? What is housing equity? There's all kinds of things. So we definitely need to be meeting our basic needs in order to feel happy. But after a certain point, money is no longer a motivator. Okay, so what else? External measures of success, like grades and money, do not make us happier. We often think, ooh, if I don't get a good review on this project, or if I get a bad grade on this project, then I will be really, really upset. And we're often not as upset or influenced by that grade or the review on a particular project as we thought we would be. Another external measure of success would be materialism and our stuff, right? Once I have that car, once I have the new iPhone, once I have that new pair of shoes, that new dress, I will be happier. This is a very, very common feeling of when X, then I'll be happy. And this is the grass is always greener thinking. And it simply isn't true. Our brains, again, just sort of trick us into this bad habit of thinking that those things will make us happy. So what does make us happy? Let's talk about that a little bit. So for this particular aspect, I'm going to recommend watching a TED Talk. It's a Harvard study. It's one of the longest standing Harvard studies done. And of course, I do not have the name of the presenter here. It's a Harvard study done on males primarily, and it follows these people from like when they were in, I think, college until in their 80s or 90s, and I think it's still ongoing. So And I do typically send out a resources page to those of you watching. So please email me. Okay, so what really does make us happy? Relationships. Relationships make us happy. We are social animals. We desire physical closeness. We desire emotional closeness, physical closeness. So relationships and having meaningful, loving relationships in our lives are incredibly important. And there's been lots of different types of studies on that as well. Everything from like babies who are not being touched will die very quickly to, if you are old and do not have close, intimate relationships, and by that I do not mean sexual, but just intimate relationships, emotionally close relationships in your life, you're much more likely to die sooner and to be vulnerable to different illnesses. So we know that meaningful relationships really boost our immune system and our overall emotional health. What else? Exercise. I love this one because there's scientific evidence out there that says exercise is as effective as antidepressants. So if you are exercising enough, like if you are starting to get some regular exercise, doing 20 minutes of exercise 5 times a week, that can be as effective as taking an antidepressant. So this is huge. We can really address our emotional health by being more active and taking care of our bodies on a regular basis. It's not to say for everyone. Oftentimes it's good to get professional help here to see what your personal situation is and the things that you can do to address it. However, if we're taking the power into our own hands and really thinking like, I'd like to avoid any medication, or what else can I do to improve my overall well-being, try exercising. All right. What else gives us a greater sense of happiness? Purpose. Living your life with a sense of purpose. And this is where the why comes in and why it's such an important reason to incorporate it into your goal setting and life planning. Those people who self-report a sense of purpose in life also report greater levels of happiness, whether that's your relationships, your family, your work. If you feel connected and like you're contributing to the world and your community, that can really elevate your happiness. So other things that build meaning, and again, sort of linking that to the purpose, that if you have meaning and purpose in your life, that can help elevate your level of happiness. What can help you do that? Gratitude, a gratitude journal, right? Like the sort of all the rage right now and has been for a few years. But again, keeping a gratitude journal, taking the time to like meditate on what you're grateful for, really solidifies and allows you to savor the moment of something, which extends your feelings of pleasure and happiness. And this can be everything from like, I love eating a delicious breakfast croissant. And if you can really take the time to savor that, both in the moment and remember it later, that your brain starts firing as if you're still living in that moment. So you're getting the positive feedback from that experience, right? So again, anything from savoring the sun on your skin outside, a beautiful day at the beach, laughing with friends or with your family, if you're training for a marathon and exercising more, if you're having a really good workout and suddenly you're like running along, you're like, wow, I actually feel really good, right? Just reinforce that thought, being like, wow, I feel really good. I feel really strong today. What does that feel like? And then again, remembering it in the evening or the next morning and being like, wow, that was just amazing. I hope I can hit that runner's high again, to reinforce that positive feedback loop. We also know that having a mindfulness practice and this idea of how can I be present in the moment is very helpful and influential on your happiness. So what else? Accomplishment in alignment with your own values. And I will link this back again to doing meaningful work in your life. That again, having a clear why and a clear purpose leads you to pursue things that feel important and meaningful to you. So if you are running a marathon because your parents were marathoners and you feel like you have something to prove, it probably won't do much for your happiness, rather than if you were pursuing a marathon because you have a family and you're looking to get healthy so that you can be more active and potentially live a longer, healthier life for your kids. So that's one example. Another one would be sort of if you believe that money is really important and will bring you greater happiness, and that's what's important for your family, and you pursue a job that is not in alignment with your beliefs. You work for an oil company, or you're just pursuing some job that you really hate and stresses you out so that you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, that won't be in alignment with your true value system. So that can often lead to stress and depression. So anyways, accomplishment does make us happier, especially when it's in alignment with something that is meaningful and purposeful to us. And then there's, again, I encourage you to listen to the Happiness Lab, because there's all sorts of like little tips that we haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about. We could really be more intentional about, because it does add to our happiness, right? So one of those little takeaways is having an exchange with a stranger or an acquaintance. People often have this, like, I want to be in my bubble. I don't want to talk to you. I'm on the subway, I'm on the bus, I'm walking down the street with my dog, whatever. And I don't want to talk to you. Okay, don't talk to me. I've got my earbuds in, whatever. But the counter thing to that is that actually having just even a brief hello or hey, how are you, neighbor, what's happening moment can super spike your happiness. Okay. And like I wouldn't have thought that. And I often avoid the conversation with the neighbor or whoever in the park, because I think I'm doing something more important, or I'm just nervous for some weird reason. But the truth is that having that brief exchange can leave us feeling so much better about ourselves and really elated, right? So again, your brain will trick you into thinking it's not what you want, but it's actually exactly what you need to get that little boost in your day. I just love that one, because I really feel like so many people are so resistant, but that it's so indicative of like us as people, right? Like that we are social animals, and we actually really like all we want to do is connect. And like we're often so much more polite to strangers and or people at the grocery store, whatever, because they don't know us. And so, putting on your best face, again, sort of like is this boost to you of being like, ooh, like I need to be polite and I need to be friendly and hi, I'm going to smile, and like just activating those muscles, sends this message to your brain, and all of a sudden you're just feeling a little bit better than you were before. Right. So what can you choose from these things? What are you learning? What are you hearing? How can you incorporate that into the goal that you have already chosen? And or if you haven't chosen one yet, or we're like, oh, I was choosing the wrong goal, how can you revise that goal using the information that we now have to make a better, stronger goal for your life? Which leads us straight into choosing and planning for your particular goal. Okay, now is the time to start thinking about like, what do I really want? Why do I want that? Is it in alignment with me? Am I pursuing it for the wrong reason? Okay, apply what you've learned so far. Let's dive into the obstacles a little bit. This part is very important. This is going back to the WHOOP, okay? The WHOOP framework for goal setting: wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Now, the episode of the Happiness Lab that this is covered in is episode 7. The story that they use, there's 2 very good ones. One is the story of a gay, potentially transgender, I don't remember, former special ops military person. And then again, the other one is with Michael Phelps. Okay, so I'm just going to dive in here, and we'll get back to those stories a little bit. The big O, obstacles, often left out of goal setting, which is just hilarious because you're going to come across obstacles. Things are going to get in your way. If you're working with a coach, if you've ever worked with a coach, this is why coaches are useful. because we're like, it's fine. I set my goal. I'm great. Like, we can just go for it. And then, it's like 2 weeks after New Year's and you're like, shit, I fell off the wagon, right? Like, everybody falls off the wagon. Everybody comes across an injury, a mental hurdle, an emotional hurdle, COVID, political and crazy race riots like happening all over the country. It's an election year, right? Like, there's always something in life that gets in the way. And this is what coaching is all about. Okay, life happened. What now? How can I support you? What's getting in your way? Let's try and work through it, dismantle it, recreate it, get around it, whatever it takes. Incorporate it, right? Okay, so the big O, obstacles. In episode 7, they talk about positive versus negative thinking. Okay, the positive thinking, again, all the rage, we're familiar with this. Positive thinking is affirmations, all of the like beautiful, wooey, fluffy things of like, think positive, focus on the goal, and you will create it, right? You'll manifest it into your life. That's all really nice and good. However, not always very effective, again, because it doesn't take the obstacles into consideration. And then when you hit that wall and your affirmation isn't working anymore, what do you do? Okay, so the negative thinking is kind of the opposite, but not really. So we're going to get into the weeds a little bit here, and I'll be as, short and concise as I can be. So basically what it is that it's thinking about all of the different outcomes and things that could happen as you pursue your goal or your project. Okay, brainstorming. That includes both the things that could go right, the ideal from AIM, right, versus everything that could go wrong. What would be the acceptable success of pursuing a particular project or goal? Because when one or multiple of those actually happen, you will have thought of how to incorporate that into your progress. So it really requires you to use your imagination of everything that might get in the way and could stop you from accomplishing whatever it is that you desire. So the point there is to then come up with a plan or a mantra or just a philosophy so that you can deal with that. And I'll give you a few of mine to give you an example, okay? So the most recent example would be, I'm in California. I've been sheltering in place with my family throughout COVID for spring, right? Which completely dismantled so many of our spring goals. I can't even tell you. That's okay. And so I'm in California, and now I'm going back to Denver, right? And trying to plan for how I'm going back to Denver. What's my mode of transportation? We have a child. My husband works in the hospital, all those things. And so anyways, me and my family have been trying to figure out what's the best way, what's the plan here. And a mantra that I've had for myself for years now, I believe, is that when shit gets crazy and too overwhelming, stick to the original plan. Okay. This is just something that I like to tell myself, that when I start to get I love thinking about all the different solutions and ways something could be dealt with, right? It's part of my job description. I love thinking about like the choose your own adventure. What's the plan A, B, C, D, E, like whatever, thinking about 7 million different ways we could handle something, which can be fun. And it can often, like the Happiness Lab will tell you, not be fun. Okay, here's another little tidbit. More choices does not equal happier. It actually equals less happy. Having fewer choices literally makes you happier. It simplifies your life. Too many choices equals overwhelm, disaster, crash and burn. Fewer choices allows us to take a bite that we can chew and then make the best decision with the information that we have. Okay, so I feel like I'm getting carried away here. Mantras, obstacle plans. Okay, When in doubt, stick to the original plan, okay? If you're not in doubt, choose another plan. If you're really into the two other ideas, then choose one of those. You know, when it rains, it pours, okay? So if you believe in the rule of threes and something's gone wrong and now two other things are gonna go wrong too, like just being like, okay, when it rains, it pours, shit happens, let's get the umbrella or the rain jacket and just like figure it out, we're gonna go anyway, or not, right? So just incorporating these little isms into your life to make the obstacles more palatable and more fun, okay? This is your secret weapon. This is the secret weapon to goal setting and project management. I have so many other stories that I want to give you, but because of time, I'm not going to, okay? So it's just, I cannot reiterate the importance of this step enough. This is your secret weapon. If you want to set good goals and accomplish them, pay attention to this part, okay? The Michael Phelps story that I will give you just briefly is that Michael Phelps swam in the Olympics many times, as we all know, and when he won a gold medal in a particular race, he actually dove into the pool and his goggles filled up with water. And in the Olympics, you're not actually allowed to adjust your goggles. You were then disqualified from the race. So he swam the race, got out of the pool, and like could not believe that he actually won the entire thing. And when asked in the interview post race what it was like to swim blind, his response was, it was exactly as I imagined it would be. He had spent so much time imagining and creating these like movies in his mind of what it would be like to not see. Like if that had happened to him, he knew exactly how many strokes across the pool. He knew exactly how long one lap would take him, that his whole body knew what he had to do. I just think that's incredible. Okay, so that's a story I'll leave you with if you want to hear it better told and with the details. Episode 7 of the Happiness Lab with Dr. Laurie Santos. Moving right along, Passion Planner Roadmap, planning for your goal. Go Google Passion Planner Roadmap, free download. It will take you to the Passion Planner website. You can download their roadmap exercise for free. I love the Passion Planner. It's one of my favorites. I can't recommend it enough. So this is a brainstorming exercise. What do we know about brainstorming? Again, people hear it, they don't do this. So I'm going to give you a little insider tip. When it comes to coaching, I strong arm my clients into this, which is brainstorming is about turning off your brain and just getting into a flow state where you do not edit yourself, right? So how often are you in a conversation with somebody where people are like, ooh, that's stupid, I don't want to like share that idea, and like they hesitate. Brainstorming is the opposite of that. Get a piece of paper, open a new document, whatever. Just free write. Allow yourself to go, okay? Just brain dump everything. Stop judging yourself. There is no idea too stupid or too small to be put down on the paper, okay? Do the Passion Planner Roadmap exercise if you would like more help in determining what your goal is and how to pursue it, okay? So once you've done the exercise, you know what all of these things mean, but you choose a game changer for each month. I would recommend it no more than 1 to 3 goals per season, per quarter. And this is because less is more, okay? If you can choose one, you're amazing. If you need one for like your personal life and your business life or whatever, your work life, do what you got to do, okay? So, and then choosing game changers for each month with the Passion Planner Roadmap, make sure that those game changers are related, all 3 of those game changers are related to that, accomplishing that one particular goal, okay? Whew. We're getting through it. We're almost done here. So, Odyssey plans. I'm just, again, going to scratch the surface here because it's an amazing planning tool that I absolutely love. Again, you can download these things for free. Google search Odyssey plans, designing your life, Odyssey plan, download. You can download it for free and create these. These are 5-year plans. Really, this is big picture. However, excuse me, in the light of everything that is happening, you can edit the Odyssey plans to work for you right now. And it's just good, again, for imagining into your future being, into your future life, if you're into that sort of thing. Okay, so when you do the Odyssey planning exercise, it's good to come up with at least 3. This is important, again, from a brainstorming perspective. You want to have 3 different plans that are significantly different so that when the obstacles arise or when whatever plan doesn't work out, there's something else to go to. Okay, so what is my edit that creates a smaller picture plan? Given COVID, given the race riots, given, it's an election year, participating in global and or local politics and your communities, creating a new reality for yourself. Rather than creating a 5-year plan, you could create a COVID 5-month plan. You could create a working in my community 5-month plan. You could create a I'm going to work on the election 5-month plan. And that just breaks it down into more bite-sized pieces where you're addressing the bigger questions for your life. Speaking of questions, whenever you're goal setting, it's really good to brainstorm open-ended questions that address your goal. Okay, think about your why, the timing, and the entire timeline. Always ask yourself, what's missing here, right? Did I address the obstacles that are pertinent at this point in time? Think what, why, how, and when questions, just so that you're planting seeds in yourself to address a more meaningful and or more effective goal. All right, so moving forward, you've picked your goal. You have all of these tools that you can use to really shape your goal and create a more detailed plan if that's what you'd like to do, okay? You've gotten curious about your goal, you feel connected to it, and you need to implement the plan and put it in your calendar, okay? So we're entering the 3rd quarter here, which is just crazy. 2020, what a year. And you're about to embark on your next 90-ish day project. The less goals you have, the more likely your success, and hopefully you've used the AIM process to make sure that you have an achievable and inspiring goal that also stretches you a little bit. I just want to make another note about COVID, the race riots, and the new reality around the world, across the US, in my limited perspective. I just would really like to make a note here that all of these subjects, they're too deep for me to cover in detail at this point in time. However, I do find them extremely important and so relevant that I don't want to not mention them. I just think that it's important that we all take a moment to think about how they've influenced us and how we influence others, our communities, and the people around us, and to incorporate that into our goal in some way, just to say that we've thought about it and continue to think about it, and that the work never really ends, and that we do need to think about the health of ourselves in a society that holds parts of the population down. So I offer individual sessions where we can deep dive into any of the subjects I've covered. And again, I know I don't do all of them justice in this short time. This is the Seasonal Goal Setting Workshop, and I'm happy to go further and deeper with anyone who has questions or things that they'd like to discuss or work on. So again, just questions around these things to sort of open up the mind around how this might have changed you, right? So how has COVID or the race riots, how have they clarified your values? What has everything that's happened in the last 3 months taught you about yourself and about the world? How have the racial tensions unfolding in the US influenced you, right? How can you incorporate educating yourself about race and policy in the United States into your goals? How can you help make the world a better and more just place? How are COVID and the current state of affairs influencing your goals and your daily life? Is it motivating or is it draining? Bring all of this to the table. This is an ongoing conversation. Perhaps there's things changing your life in a very surprising way. Perhaps not. And how do you feel about that? Just some thoughts. I'd like to encourage everyone to take a moment to question for themselves. All right, we're coming up on time here. So accountability and my work. First of all, put all of your deadlines and your check-ins into your calendar. If you don't, it's very unlikely you'll ever do them. Get yourself an accountability buddy. Friends, family, other forms of accountability will help solidify your success and your feelings of achievement. Making public statements, talking about your goals and telling people about them will also greatly increase your chances of actually being successful, okay? Celebrate along the way, also very important. Feed that positive feedback loop, okay? Celebrate each success, even if it's little. I am a professional accountability buddy. That's what I do. My work as a coach is really centered around like what's important to you. How can we create meaningful change in your life? Let's make sure you're working on those things. If they're as important to you as they say they are, then this is priceless, right? Your life is priceless. The time to do the work is now. Life is short and things can change really quickly. So let's look at the big picture and break it down into something we can do right now. I work as a guide, a trusted advisor. I am a sounding board for those of you out there looking to do meaningful work on your life. So I really look out for my clients and I help them clarify their goals, their processes, and their values to make meaningful change in their life. So I work with clients one-on-one. I also host workshops and work with small groups. I have the Get Shit Done Accountability Club, the GSD Club, and we work on a sliding scale pay basis currently throughout COVID. And we help you accomplish whatever it is that you're working on at this point in time, right? Whether that means getting some more sleep and getting the rest you need to be more resilient on a day-to-day basis, or maybe it means, finishing that book you said you wanted to read while you're spending more time at home. What am I doing next? My next seasonal goal workshop will be in the fall, and it's going to be a special edition because September is my favorite month of the year. It's my birthday month. And I will be hosting a fall challenge at that time. Follow me on social media at Lara Bulow on Instagram to get more information about that. It will also be included in my newsletter, which you can sign up for via my Instagram or my website. So I'll be hosting the fall challenge. Again, it's going to be really fun, and I hope to get lots of you on board. Of course, there will be a prize incentive for people who choose to participate, and we'll be doing a special fall challenge seasonal goal setting workshop in August to lead up to September, when we will wrap up the fall challenge and put those new things into practice. All right, so keep it real. I've got a whole follow-up email for those of you who choose to watch this video. Shoot me an email and you will get a whole package of resources and notes and links from this workshop. Congratulations. You have just gone through so much information, and I'm sure you're setting amazing goals, and I'd really, really, really love to hear about them. So please reach out to me and share them with me on whatever channels that you prefer. I also love a phone call. So connect with me, share your goals, and happy summer. All right, take it easy.